What?
Hey, you. Yeah, you, the person watching the adorable cat TikToks. Are you a cat person? According to a 2022 survey, 12% of people identify as cat people, while a whopping 46% of people identify as dog people, and as little as 28% identify as both. However, other surveys have found different percentages, with some as low as 11 for cats and others as high as 60 for dogs. Those statistics don't really matter though. Everyone loves cats, right? Well, up until recently, some statistics said that at least 30% of humans should be somewhat attracted to cats. Why? Well, it's all because of a little parasite known as Toxoplasma gondii. I know. Yucky, a parasite, it must be evil. I thought the same at first too. But this parasite, even if just a little evil, is one of the most prominent and successful parasites in the world. Why is that? Well, it's because of how the parasite travels and infects its victims. Toxoplasma lives in a cycle where it always has to return to a specific host in order to reproduce. That host, of course, are cats. Now, what is the goal of this parasite exactly? The main objective of Toxoplasma is to get where they can reproduce in the bodies of domestic cats. Cats' bodies are the only known place where Toxoplasma can do this, and thus, cats are the main spreaders of this parasite. When Toxoplasma enters a cat's body, they produce oocysts, which the cat then poops out. And when an unsuspecting rodent or bird comes into contact with them, they become infected. Toxoplasma can actually infect almost all birds and animals, including humans. They cause a disease called toxoplasmosis, which I will discuss a little later. Back to the rodents. When they are infected by toxoplasma, their brain chemistry seems to be changed in a way that causes them to be more easily preyed upon by cats. I know, crazy, right? The reasons for this change in behavior of the rodents seems to be debatable, but common discussions include the theory that the parasite makes them less fearful of odors like cat urine, making them more likely to wander into cats' dens and get eaten, bringing the parasite back to step one of its cycle. Some also argue that the parasite simply causes the rodents to become less fearful in general, more adventurous in a way, causing them to become more susceptible to any predator coming for them. Either way, the parasite does some weird stuff to rodents that's honestly really confusing and hard to understand on a scientific level. So I won't go into that detail here, but a quick Google search will probably have some explanation for you. Now, let's talk a little bit more about toxoplasmosis, the disease affecting humans that is caused by this same parasite. Remember when I said that it was thought that at least 30% of humans should be somewhat interested in cats? Well, that was because this parasite is so successful that it has already infected at least, and I mean at least, 30% of the human population. Take a second to let that sink in. You might have this disease and not even know it. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but I mean, it's actually somewhat likely that some people watching this video could have it, considering it's been proven that toxoplasmosis has little to no effect on most healthy people. However, I'll get more into symptoms and ways that humans are infected a little further on. For now, let's get back to that crazy statistic. 30% of humans. I mean, in just the United States, there are more than 40 million people infected with this disease. In other countries, the percentage of infected people is way higher. Now, I know what you're thinking. If this parasite is so successful, then why haven't I heard of it before now? Well, real information about the disease isn't really spread. You might have heard of it in other ways, but in ways that didn't really tell you anything about it. Let's take a second to talk about the crazy cat lady syndrome, a term coined by news channels when information about toxoplasma first started to spread around. No one really knew much about the disease that this parasite caused, and they thought that it could lead to humans having serious changes in our brains, just like how rodents do. Obviously, there's no such thing as crazy cat lady syndrome. I mean, I think I could have it, but without the evil parasite involved. A lot of information is out there nowadays that is more reliable and not trying to scare people. It really seemed like these news channels and media outlets were trying to portray the disease as a new alien of some sorts. In reality, the parasite has been around for hundreds of years before it started to circulate on social media. I think news and media will always be the same, trying to catch your attention by spinning things around in interesting ways. Still, even though there has been extensive research on this parasite and its effects on humans, there is still much to learn. So, I will move on to a little more information about what is known about toxoplasmosis today. As previously mentioned, toxoplasmosis generally has little to no effect on most healthy people, aside from some mild flu like symptoms which seem to go away after a while. The real scary effects come in with people who have compromised immune systems, like those with HIV. In those cases, it can cause severe lung problems and even inflammation in the brain, known as encephalitis, causing things like seizures. In some rarer cases, toxoplasmosis can even cause eye problems. Don't get too scared, though. Most of these cases are pretty rare. The only other severe case of this disease, and one that more people are probably aware of, is with pregnant women, as coming in contact with toxoplasma while pregnant can lead to serious birth defects. This case is called congenital toxoplasmosis. There were also studies done that linked toxoplasmosis to people who had schizophrenia, which was a big scare as well. However, it has been found that toxoplasma is most likely not a causing factor of mental illnesses. Still, unless you are immunocompromised or pregnant, there's not really any need for concern, or need to throw out your pet cat, because simply owning a cat does not increase your chances of getting this disease. The CDC only warns that people who are pregnant should not clean cat litter boxes, and if unavoidable, to wear gloves and wash your hands after. This goes for those who aren't pregnant as well and just want to avoid the parasite at all costs. Cats also aren't the only way this disease can spread. While it's not transmissible between humans, one of the leading ways to get it, aside from just cats, is from eating contaminated, uncooked food. This is because the parasite could infect livestock, because as I said previously, it can infect almost all animals. For prevention, just follow general food precautions like eating fully cooked food and pasteurized milk. In some rarer cases, some people could get it by receiving an infected organ in a transplant, or even from blood in a transfusion. It's crazy to think that all this chaos and research comes at the hand of a tiny little parasite that not many people even know or think about, but could still be infected with. Take this video as you want. I just wanted to inform some people who may not have known much about this disease just a little bit more about it, and that it does not cause crazy cat lady syndrome. Next time you see a cat, just think about how cute they are and ignore all your fears. Love cats. I'm just joking. Or am I?